You should have Tor finally installed and configured on your computer, whether you're using a Windows, Mac, Linux, or the Tails desktop. Hopefully you have Tor up and ready to go. In this lecture, we're going to take a look at the nuances in the browser compared to most browsers and what makes it more secure. So we'll hop back over to our Tails desktop to take a look at that. Now we have the Tor browser pulled up and ready. One of the first security things we saw was this maximizing Tor browser warning. We can just hit OK on that. Just be sure to watch out for that. Once you do hit OK, it usually doesn't come up again. It probably will on this because it gets erased, but on other computers, if you don't see it, just be sure that it still matters, even though it might not warn you every time. So one of the first things we want to point out in the Tor browser is this onion over here. Now this onion is the bread and butter of what Tor is, the onion routing protocol, and it actually shows you your circuit for the site you're connected to. So like we talked about in our onion routing lecture, you see here our entry node, which is based in Denmark and that IP, and then we have our middle node and then our exit node as well. Now, one of the cool things about Tor built in is you can hit this new Tor circuit for this site, and what it will do is actually switch up your middle and exit node. It'll keep the same entry node, but it'll change up your middle and exit node. So we'll go ahead and hit that and let that load. And once it is done loading, we can actually take a look at the onion one more time and see if it successfully changed those. Now, they may be based in the same country, but they should have a different IP, of course. And you can see our Denmark entry node still there. But now we are going through Romania and Russia for our middle and exit nodes. So pretty cool feature. It's suggested to do that every now and then when using the same website, just to better anonymize your traffic. But there's also another setting over here, just the new identity setting right here. And you can go and hit that, but what that will do is actually change your entry node. So it'll change everything. So what it'll do is if you hit it, it'll give you a little warning that it is going to close all the windows and then reopen them. Oh, and we accidentally just hit no. Try that one more time here. We'll go ahead and hit yes when it boots up, and then it will shut down our Tor browser, reload the pages, and this time we should have a different entry node. And again, it can be based in Denmark where it was before, but it should definitely have a different IP. So we'll let the Tor browser reboot up. We'll go into our onion over here, and you can see we are still out of Denmark, but if you compare the IPs, I'm sure they would be different. And then you have a do middle and exit node as well. You can also check some of the security settings of Tor. Now these are very basic settings. It's either high, medium, or low, not much in between. And this is useful for a couple reasons, but it's of course the most anonymous way to do it would be browsing on the high security setting. However, this is not the best for a couple reasons. The biggest one being that on most websites, they depend on a lot of the stuff that Tor will disable. And if that is disabled, you know, the website may not work properly, or you'll see severe glitches in the way things operate. So for your normal browsing on the internet, if you're just trying to be more anonymous, just kind of browsing around, you can definitely have it on a lower setting because you don't need it that high. However, if you are in a country that censors your internet or blocks you from accessing certain sites, I would definitely keep it on the highest setting. That way it keeps you more secure and anonymous while you are browsing online. But otherwise, for normal browsing and things like that, you could keep it on low. So we'll go ahead and cancel out of that. And that is generally the onion routing settings. Over here, you'll see another option that has a little S with an exclamation point, and that's just scripts. So things that basically ask your browser to execute different commands to look up different stuff or pull different information from places. So we'll want to usually have that forbidden. So you want to hit this forbid scripts globally option. And then now it will forbid scripts, and this may cause some websites to function differently as well, so you'll have to be aware of that. But if you hit this, we can go to the options tab here, and under here you'll see a lot of different security options that you can kind of fine-tune your experience with Tor. Now, it's not suggested that you mess with most of these. These are a little bit more advanced unless you know what they all mean and what they actually do to your browser. I wouldn't go around changing these. Overall, this is good to just leave alone, this whole area. You don't really need to mess with it. It's pretty good the way it is set right now. But there's a lot of different stuff in here if you wanted to browse around and take a look at some of the things that keep you secure. But other than that, that's generally the Tor browser. Now, nowadays, Tor browser does still have a ad blocker built in, which is pretty nice. And then on top of that, you have your normal web browser settings. So Firefox has the same browser settings, a lot of different stuff in here. Of course, your history and your preferences. Another thing to note, Tor doesn't save your history by default. Every time you close out of it, it's all going to be gone anyways. So that's really the interface of Tor. Nothing new there if you took that Deep Web 101 course, but it's always good to get a refresher and get a good understanding of some of the tools we'll be working with. In the next video, we're going to show you how to set up a Tor bridge and how to actually use Tor with a VPN. And then after that, we will have one more lecture on Tor nodes before diving into Bitcoin and how Bitcoin is important for the dark web. So go ahead and head to the next video to learn more about Tor bridges.